Okay, Fastlane 2019. Obviously, it was last night. I know this is late. I work early in the morning, so again, I just kind of oversleep a little bit sometimes with these things. Anyway, this was a weird show. I don't know if I can say it was good, but I can't really say it was terrible either. I mean, well, we'll get into it. First off is our kickoff show match, The New Day versus the tag team of Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, there was a backstage vignette to open things up where Kofi Kingston was going to come out with the New Day, but then he suddenly got summoned by the McMahon family to Vince's office because it concerned the WWE Championship. Thus, it was just Big E and Xavier through the whole match. Not too much to say after that, though. The only other really noteworthy things is there was two really weird interruptions. Literally, like two moves got performed. I think it was like a suplex and a headlock takedown, and then suddenly there was an ad break. It's like, maybe time these things a little bit better, guys. At least put a little bit more action before you do the ad break. And then they literally came back. There were two or three more moves. Nakamura had a big kick. And then we did a backstage vignette with Shane McMahon and The Miz and The Miz's father. I think it's George Mizanin. I may be wrong on that. And then they came back, and just as Xavier got the big tag to Big E, obviously, they came back, they fought back and forth again. Eventually the New Day won. They hit the used to be called the Midnight Hour, is now called the Up, Up, Down, Down, for the 3 count of the victory on, I believe, it was on Rusev. No, it was on, who wasn't on? I didn't quite get it anyway. Like I said, it was a pretty bog standard match. Not terrible, but, at least reasonably entertaining. Unfortunately, got completely derailed by the interruptions. And moving on to the show proper, we have the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. The Usos versus Shane McMahon and The Miz. Right off the bat, again, this is another kind of just very mundane match. There was a weird moment early on where Shane McMahon and The Miz tried to do the same Shane punches, which are just terrible looking, and they look even worse when The Miz does it. The Miz at least comes across more like a legitimate threat in the ring sometimes, and him doing those punches just looks corny. At one point, Shane got hit with a huge lariat by Jimmy Uso, who blind tagged into the match. The Usos hit a couple of double team moves on Shane. Shane fought out, hit a DDT. The Miz got the hot tag. Miz did a more top rope maneuvering, including a crossbody to the outside of the ring onto both Usos. And then, let me see, Shane is hit. Oh boy. Okay, Shane is taken down with a Samoan neckbreaker. Miz came in and tried to do a skull-crushing finale and fought out of it. Miz broke up a Doomsday Device attempt. At another point, Shane was trying to do the Van Terminator or the Coast to Coast, while I think it was Jey Uso was trying to do the Uso splash from the top rope, and they basically collided in mid-air. That was probably the real high point of the match. After that, Miz got into his mind to try to do a top rope maneuver. He climbed to the top rope, did a frog splash, but Jimmy snookered him into a small package for the 3 count of the victory. The Usos retain. And I guess what really is important, what happened after that, again, afterwards, Shane consoled The Miz, said, hey, it's not your fault, it happened, don't take this personally. They went over to Mr. Mizanin, and, Mr. Mizanin congratulated Miz, said, hey, you did a good match and everything. And then Shane sucker punched The Miz and put him in a really weak triangle choke. So Shane has turned heel. Obviously now they're heading towards The Miz and Shane at Mania. At least we finally got that out of the way. I kind of like the idea that they finally turned Shane heel, because really Shane should be a heel at this point. Remember, he won the World Cup that he wasn't even entered in. So yeah, again, just like I said, a very weird show going into this. Okay, our next match is the SmackDown Women's Championship match, Asuka versus Mandy Rose. Not really much to say here. Early on, Asuka tried to put some submission moves on. Sonya Deville kept interfering, distracting Asuka. Mandy hit a couple of big knees on Asuka. And then Sonya began looking under the ring as Mandy Rose hit the waistland. She was trying to find a kendo stick. Eventually, Sonya did locate the kendo stick, but she had flipped the ring apron up so that the ring apron was basically teetering over the top rope and it was touching onto the ring, and so Mandy was whipped into the ring, into that area, and she slipped on the ring apron, and that enabled Asuka to hit a big roundhouse for the 3 count and the victory. They did show a very intense slow motion replay of Asuka hitting the kick. It was literally like right as that happened, and excuse me. And so yeah, that's how that went. Like I said, kind of a go nowhere match. Unfortunately, it was kind of a go nowhere feud. Like the whole thing was set up because Mandy got a cheated victory on Asuka, and that'd be fine. But then they didn't really pay any attention to it for the next 2 weeks. This show, like I said, going into it, really looked like a stopgap, and this is one of the reasons why, because a lot of these feuds were either just carryovers from Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber, or they were just kind of slapped together at the last minute. Anyway, we go to the backstage vignette where Kofi Kingston has been waiting for about an hour to talk to Vince, but he's been busy. So the New Day barge in, they talk to Vince, they convince him, and he says, "You know what? You're right. For the WWE Championship match is going to be a triple threat, and Kofi, your match starts right now." Oh, okay, and he's thinking it's triple threat for the WWE Championship. So Kofi goes out to the ring, and then suddenly the PA announcer says, "Oh, I've just been told that this is not the triple threat for the WWE Championship match. This is a handicap match. It's Kofi Kingston versus the Bar, and both members of the Bar will be allowed in the ring at the same time." So, yeah, Kofi tries to put up a good fight, but the Bar just dominate him. Eventually, the New Day come down to try to help Kofi, but they get jumped by Rusev and Nakamura, and the Bar hit the double white noise for the 3 count and the victory. Yeah, again, obviously this is building towards Kofi being at Mania, but then something else happens later on in the show that'll, yeah, again, just kind of weird. Like, at least in this case, I can understand they're trying to further the story, and I do kind of like the sort of very great heel move by Vince to pull the double swerve, say, "Oh, it's going to be triple threat, but you're not the one involved, or are you?" Or, yeah, like I said, it just got really confusing all of a sudden. And that leads us into our next match, the triple threat match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. The Revival versus Ricochet and Aleister Black versus Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. The challenging teams have just attacked each other right off the bat as the Revival just scooted out of the ring. This was the type of match where a tag team had to be tagged in. So, like I said, it was just Roode, Gable, Black, and Ricochet early on. And then one of them I think it was Wilder tagged in. Blind tagged, I believe it was Roode, and then squared off with Ricochet for a while. Early on, Roode dodged a black mass, and as a result, Shea Dawson ate it instead. Wilder hit a frog splash on Gable, and then Ricochet broke that up with a shooting star press. And basically the big high point of the match came when Gable was on his corner, but Ricochet was charging at Roode, I believe, was on the outside of the ring. Ricochet jumped over the ring post, over Roode and Gable, but Gable reached up and basically blind tagged Ricochet, tried to get a sneaky victory, but that just enabled the Revival to hit the Shatter Machine on Gable for the 3 count and the victory. Afterwards, there were some more high spots, and eventually Black and Ricochet left the ring standing, and the other two teams were left lying in their wake. Again, this was a pretty darn good match. Tag team triple threats can be really clunky sometimes. This was not, especially when it's not the tornado rules, and it's not elimination, so you're trying to sit there and piece together everything that's going on. At least they did a better job of keeping track of the action and maintaining interest throughout this. Okay, our next match. This was originally supposed to be a kickoff show match between Rey Mysterio and Andrade, but during the kickoff show they did another backstage vignette where Carmelo was trying to get a petition signed for R-Truth to get his automatic United States Championship rematch. But basically, Carmella got into an argument with Zelina Vega because she said Andrade was actually worth it. And Carmella pointed out that technically Joe pinned Andrade to win the championship. So Joe walked in and basically said, look, I'll take on everyone. So, and basically they made that a fatal four-way match for the United States Championship on the main show between Samoa Joe, R-Truth, Andrade, and Rey Mysterio. Yeah, and this kind of screams of, boy, this was slapped together at the last minute because really Rey and Andrade dominated most of this match. They did a lot of the big moves were plotted around him. I mean, Joe hit a suicide dive onto everyone. Rey hit R-Truth and Andrade with his head scissors. At one point, R-Truth had Andrade on his shoulders for an electric chair, and Rey did a top rope hurricanrana off of that onto Andrade, basically. Andrade hit a missile dropkick onto Joe. At one point, Zelina and Carmella began fighting on the outside of the ring. That caused a big enough distraction for Joe to hit the Uranagi on Rey. Truth came in and hit a five-knuckle shuffle onto Joe, but then Joe managed to fight them out of the ring. Joe got hit with a 619, and when Rey went to drop the dime after that, Joe snookered him into the rear naked choke, and Rey passed out, so Joe retains the championship. A good match, but again, like I said, it felt really slapdash. They did a really good job of maintaining interest, thankfully. And, that was really the only thing going for it, unfortunately. Again, why not just make it a fatal four-way going into the show? Why do the whole switcheroo fake out? Like I said, the show was just weird. After that, we have the Women's Tag Team Championship match. The Boston Hug Connection, a.k.a. Sasha Banks and Bayley, versus Nia Jax and Tamina, the Samoan Slaughterhouse. Again, not too much to say here. There were some real good power moves from Nia and Tamina. Nia press slammed Sasha Banks into Bayley at one point. She powerbombed Bayley. At one point, Tamina and Nia had a pop-up Samoan drop onto Sasha. Bayley took out everyone with a suicide dive, and then at one point Nia had Bayley up for a power bomb. Bayley countered that into a hurricanrana roll up for the 3 count and the victory. And I guess the more noteworthy thing is what happened after that, which is immediately Nia and Tamina began beating up on Sasha and Bayley. As the skirmish was breaking out, unfortunately Beth Phoenix, who was out to do commentary, got caught in the middle, and suddenly Nia and Tamina started to go after Beth. They hit a couple moves on her, and this brought Natalya out, and Natalya tried to fight them off as well, but unfortunately she got dropped, and this does seem to bring about an intriguing setup. Beth Phoenix, obviously she's in the Hall of Fame, and she had to retire because of accumulated concussions, so I don't know if she was medically cleared to take those bumps, but I'm hoping she is. And Natalya, again, they were kind of, I don't know if they were the original tag team. I think you could argue like Lay Cool, or obviously the Bellas could fall into that category as well. But again, they were a pretty unique tag team unto themselves, and that could set up for an intriguing triple threat match at Mania if they go through with the triple threat match. That is, because at the same time, it looks like Mania is getting loaded with multi-person matches, and I guess we'll get to that later. But I think if there's too many multi-person matches involved in Mania, it's gonna really sour a lot of it. I always think Mania should be mostly one-on-one matches. Anyway, after that we have the triple threat, well, the WWE Championship match against Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens, which they said was a triple threat, so I guess it was still a triple threat, so what's going on? Well, that's because the third competitor is not Kofi Kingston. Again, backstage during that initial Kofi vignette, or not the initial one, the second one where the New Day convinced Vince to make it a triple threat, he said, that's right, it is going to be a triple threat. He never said Kofi was going to be involved in it, though. And instead, it's Mustafa Ali. And in a way, this makes sense. And people were booing because it wasn't Kofi getting his chance, but at the same time, Mustafa Ali was originally supposed to be in the Elimination Chamber. Everything that happened in the Elimination Chamber with Kofi was supposed to be Mustafa Ali, but he got a concussion. He had to go into the concussion protocol, and so Kofi took his spot. And so, yeah, we now have Mustafa Ali, Daniel Bryan, and Kevin Owens for the WWE Championship. A lot of high spots going on, but the crowd just wasn't having this. They wanted Kofi. And I do kind of feel a bit for Mustafa Ali because this isn't his fault at all. Ali countered a pop-up powerbomb into a drop kick. Owens hit a cannonball off the ring apron onto Ali. Bryan knocked Ali off the turnbuckle, who flew all the way into the barricade. It was a flying knee that knocked him off. That was the really big move there. Ali hit a rolling facebuster onto Bryan. Ali hit his top rope Spanish fly onto, he hit a reverse Hurricane Rana onto Kevin Owens, then he hit the top rope Spanish fly on Bryan. Ali dodged a flying knee, causing Bryan to strike the ring post. At this point, Eric Rowan interfered and Bryan hit a flying knee onto Owens. Owens powerbombed Mustafa Ali on the ring apron. Rowan interfered with the 3 count again. Bryan came back and countered a plancha with the flying knee into Mustafa Ali's chest for the 3 count of the victory. Another point too, Ali hit a 450 onto, I think it was Owens, who was draped across the ring apron, which we all know is the hardest part of the ring. But yeah, Daniel Bryan won after countering basically that plancha with the flying knee. And afterwards, Bryan ordered Rowan to attack Ali, which he did, and that was kind of it. No more surprise returns. Kofi didn't get involved. None of that happened. So, like I said, it looks like we're building towards probably at least a 4-way. I wouldn't be surprised if, if we had 2 more entrants into this. Heck, at this point, it's probably going to be a ladder match. I'm just theorizing. It looks to me like they're building up towards another ladder match. I guess that would be okay. Yeah. Okay, so our next match is Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. And if Becky wins, the Mania match, the Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania becomes a triple threat. Basically, Becky's still injured. I mean, she is injured in reality. I don't know how severe the injury is, though, because she has taken a few bumps on it. But they're trying to minimize her in-ring action. That's why this whole suspension storyline has been going on. So Becky comes out in a crunch. She signed, what do they call it? Basically, it was a legal waiver to prevent WWE from any legal liabilities, or at least that's, again, in storyline. I also noticed that Charles Robinson, a.k.a. Little Nate, is the referee, and the last time I really remember Charles Robinson refereeing a Charlotte Flair match, it was against Natalya, where they did the stupid Montreal Screwjob remake. So it's like, oh, are they going to do something stupid here? Not really. Early on, Charlotte was mocking Becky, also trying to sell an injured knee. Immediately, Charlotte targeted Becky. Becky started to come back a little bit. She countered a suplex into a small package. She countered a moonsault and knocked Charlotte off the turnbuckle. Charlotte basically played possum just enough to snooker Becky into starting to put the figure eight on. But then Ronda Rousey sprinted down to the ring and attacked Becky Lynch, causing a disqualification, so Becky wins, and now she gets to go to WrestleMania. Yeah, that was it. In fact, Ronda came out and attacked Becky, and then Charles Robinson admonished Ronda, but Ronda literally starts doing the "I'm playing the world's smallest violin" gesture. Yeah, and it's like, well, that was anticlimactic. I mean, I didn't have here's the thing, again, I didn't have a problem with them doing this finish. This is obviously what they were intending to do. Becky was gonna be in there, so you knew that. I don't even mind that it's Ronda Rousey comes out and causes a disqualification. That's not the problem. It's just that you built this match up like it was really going to be something, and then it wasn't. As I tweeted out, that was anticlimactic. You really didn't build this match very well at all, and unfortunately, yeah, this was kind of a stinker. After that, we have some announcements. Lashley is going after Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship on Raw. Elias, throughout the night, Elias came out. He was singing songs about the matches. He sang about Shane McMahon turning on The Miz. He sang about Becky and Charlotte, and he did one other one. I'm trying to think of what it was. I think it was about Kofi Kingston. That's what it was. The Bar beating up on Kofi Kingston. During the third segment, then Lacey Evans came out and just did that walking thing she's been doing again. As this is happening, though, Randy Orton runs into the ring, hits Elias with the RKO out of nowhere, and he starts to stand triumphant, but then AJ Styles comes out of the crowd and hits the phenomenal forearm onto Orton, and yeah. So, obviously they're building up between, obviously they're going to be facing each other at Mania. Could it maybe be in a WWE title match? At this point, I wouldn't put it above them. And that does lead us into the main event, the six-man tag, The Shield versus Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. No Leo Rush for Bobby Lashley because they're still selling that Leo got injured by Braun Strowman. Right off the bat, all six men begin brawling. Rollins hit a sling blade onto Lashley. Rollins actually worked quite a bit of this match, which is funny because he's injured as well. And this is also underplayed by the very bizarre situation with Dean Ambrose, where he hasn't asked for his release. He said his contract is up. He's basically saying, "I'm not re-signing. I'm probably going elsewhere." But there's also seems to be some rumors or some actions that maybe that's not the case. Like maybe this was just part of the storyline, because it's the weird bit of Ambrose basically said, "I'm not re-signing," and WWE announced it informal and used the real name. They used Jonathan Good, and so yeah, so they posted it on the website. It's like, well, they wouldn't do that if it wasn't real. And again, throughout the whole match, they're kind of saying like, well, Ambrose is on his way out, so this is the last time you're going to probably see the Shield working together, and that's basically was the motif for the whole match. Ambrose came in, he hit a bionic elbow off of the top ring post to the outside of the ring. Lashley speared Ambrose, but Reigns broke up the pin. Eventually Reigns got in and worked a pretty significant portion of the match as well. And then Ambrose, Rollins, Lashley, and McIntyre brawled into the crowd. The high point of that was they got all the way to the kickoff show area, and Rollins jumped off of basically a crowd gate and into did a cross-body maneuver. They fought back to the ring. Corbin countered, I think it was a Superman punch into a deep six. As they were going for the triple power bomb, as the Shield made their way down, McIntyre and Lashley got down to the ring as well and started brawling back again. Corbin hit the end of days on Reigns, but I think Ambrose broke the pin. Corbin called for the triple power bomb. They're going to triple power bomb Reigns onto the announce table. Rollins and Ambrose break it up. Rollins hits a curb stomp onto Lashley, who was draped over the announce table. and the Shield hit the triple power bomb on McIntyre through the announce table. They then triple power bombed Corbin, not on the announce table, in the ring for the 3 count of the victory, and the Shield stood triumphant as the show ended. A pretty darn good match, considering you had a guy working his first match in 6 months in Roman Reigns. It's really good that Roman's back from his leukemia and it's back in remission. So obviously, I'm not going to poo-poo any of that. And it was also nice that he also was able to work he actually worked a pretty significant portion of the match, as did Rollins, which was funny again because they kept talking about how Rollins has been banged up, and again they were trying to minimize his matches so that he didn't get too seriously injured in the main event. Is sort of it's not really the main event, but you get the idea. So yeah, like I said, all of that's really good. Like I said, it was overall a pretty decent match and a great way to end the show, I'll say that. Overall though, like I said, the show was just weird. Like, I couldn't say it was bad. Like, there wasn't anything that just really outwardly ticked me off and disappointed me, except for Charlotte and Becky. But other than that, like, there wasn't anything that was really horrendously disappointing. They did a good job furthering storylines. Again, I do want to know where they're going with this. I'm not entirely enthused by the fact we're going to have, again, maybe 4 or 5 multi-individual matches at WrestleMania, and there's probably, and not to mention the 2 Battle Royals, so don't know how that's all going to shake out, but it is at least intriguing. I'm guessing Lashley's probably going to win back the Intercontinental Championship tonight. Don't hold me to that, but yeah. Also, as I was recording this, news just broke over who's going into the Hall of Fame. It's another tag team. It's Harlem Heat, not the Hart Foundation, as many people speculated it would be. Obviously, Harlem Heat was a great tag team. Booker T's already in the Hall of Fame, so we now have 3 two-time Hall of Famers. I bet most people probably didn't expect Booker T to be the next two-time Hall of Famer. They probably were thinking either Triple H or it was going to be the NWO again, but so you kind of got that going for us, but obviously that has nothing to do with Fastlane. Like I said, Fastlane wasn't really bad. Most of the matches were alright. They did a good job furthering the story, but at the same time, it was so weirdly structured and oddly paced that I can't say I really liked it or enjoyed it. So I am going to give Fastlane a C. Okay, so yeah, next video up is going to be the review of Wonder Park. I'm just getting started on working for the Wonder Woman 77 review. See you all next time. Are you tired of me constantly talking only about WWE and NXT? Want to see me expand my wrestling coverage? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. Also, remember, if you like the video, give it a like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.